Hey, let me ask you this. What happens when you take the aspects of roguelikes, difficult games, action, third-person shooters, indie games, looter shooters, bullet hells, survivals, banging characters, that's the wrong image, banging music, copious amounts of cope, and toss that all into a sequel? Well, you get a little game called Risk of Rain 2. Not only that, but this game also has multiple characters, stages, breakneck gameplay, inflation, hoarding, infanticide, Evangelion references, Risk of Rain 1 references, gambling, the rumbling, lizards, lore for those who like to read, secret endings, false hope to unlock any of them, and infinite replayability. Have I got your attention yet? Well, we're only getting started. Bam! Roguelike. Definition. We're just gonna put this here. A game with procedural generation and permadeath with no benefits. This is not that. This is a roguelite, meaning that instead of losing all your progress, whatever you unlock through playthroughs, be it items or characters, you'll get to keep for later runs. So when starting out, you only see a tiny little zone of the whole game, which is a good way to introduce new players to the game, but if the YY method is anything to go by, confusion is the best way to raise intrigue in a game. So instead of learning everything organically, I've taken it upon myself to show you a boatload of cool things in order to pique your interest and go buy the game. Okay, so there are different characters in this game, each having a different kit that completely changes their playstyle, with some focusing on dealing consistent damage, some being fun, and some not being anything at all. You can pick out of 2 difficulties in a sandbox mode. Pick this one if you want to learn the game, and this one if you're an idiot. The enemies in this game spawn if they meet the required conditions, i.e. correct stage, difficulty, or if the director has enough credits. More on that later. You level up in the standard way of killing enemies, but they level up solely by how far into a run you are. Basically, once one of these notches is crossed, stats that go against you will be buffed. In layman's terms, the more you fuck around, the more you find out. And at no point does this mechanic stop. Leveling up isn't actually enough to get you through the later stages, so this is where items come in. You earn items by playing gacha, gambling, or challenging the gods. By the way, if you find any of these funny looking statues lying around, interact with as many of them as possible. It'll be fun, I promise. You earn money in the usual way by beating up others for their spare change so you can fuel your addiction. Oh boy, I wonder what I'm gonna get. And just like the real thing, these items are categorized by rarity, but unlike the real thing, all items are viable. Now yeah, some items are objectively better than others, but once you know how to play the game, you'll know how to adapt your gameplay depending on what items you have. Some items are good, some are favorite child good, favorite neglected child, and some are situational. You will develop this mentality, it is not a choice. This creates a dilemma as you play where you need to balance the value of an item with the amount of time it'll take you to get it. There's also this really cool DLC for the game that adds a whole nother tier of items to it, and it's actually required that you buy it with the game because I said so. There's also 4 stages that are exclusive to the DLC, and speaking of stages, each stage has a few different environments that it can choose from. Think of each stage like a box, and the environment's whatever is in that box. Whichever environment you get is randomized, but a stage 4 environment can't be used as a stage 1 environment. Asterisk at the end because there is some fine print. Oh, you better read it quickly. Oh, it's too late. Sign here, please. Environments can also have exclusive rules like anti-gambling laws, buffs to speedrunners, or guaranteed ice train. Hoppu also made each environment have different variations of themselves, which doesn't really affect gameplay all that much, but I just felt like mentioning it. Anyway, once you make it to stage 5, you can take the big boy teleporters to try and beat the final boss. And that's just a summary. And when I say it's a summary, I mean it's a summary. For example, the equation for how enemies scale looks a little like this. And this is the expanded equation! So let's not get into that. Difficult, bullet hell, and survival are some accurate tags to describe the game, but the real battle isn't against the creatures of the planet, or the planet itself. It's with the director. The paragraph of code that arbitrarily dictates what will spawn depending on how many credits it has. It gets credits depending on the difficulty, which if you were paying attention, is affected by all of these factors. These two are in different categories because this one you simply pick before you start, and this one is relating to the timer. The director invested in real estate, so you won't feel it at first. But sooner or later, you're gonna have to grow a third eye so you can let your other 2 blink. It's not uncommon for you to get far enough into a run in the game to look like this. Tell me one thing that's going on here. This happens to you eventually because of how many items you have. Items are what make the game fun. Wanna deal double damage? Put these on. Wanna fire a rocket when you attack? Here you go. Wanna fire more rockets? Hold on, just go. Yeah! The bread and butter of the game is the items. But what's even better is when you learn what synergy is. White bread. Peanut butter. Jelly. Magnificent. Synergy is just how well things work with each other. This is the engineer. He's the standard issue type that's in every game. He doesn't do much apart from build turrets in order to deal damage. Sound familiar? This is the Bungus. It's an item that gives you pretty good healing over time, with the caveat being that you have to stand still for a full second in order to get the healing. This is Engineer's turrets. He can choose a spot to place them down where after some time, they will be fully functional and attack any enemy they see with perfect targeting. Sound familiar? And this is the description for his turrets. Description. Place a turret that inherits all of your items. Do you know what that means? Now, it has a permanent healing aura that will multiply its survivability tenfold. Get a focus crystal? Now they have a no-no zone where they do more damage if the enemy step inside. Get a Dios? Now they get to do that twice. And you can get an item, DLC item by the way, just saying, that lets you place one more turret. And this is just one ability synergizing with some of the more subtle items. Now if you want to get more flashy, then you get one of these, and then a few of these, and then the game turns into this. Man, they're really going at it. What? Yeah! What's that? Ah! Hey, you have ears, right? Here, put these on. This is the part where I get to talk about the atmosphere of the game, because this is, in my opinion, one of the biggest selling points for the game. The feel. The story of the game is irrelevant to enjoy everything else, but, put briefly, you play as someone aboard the UES Safe Travels, a vessel owned by a cargo and shipping company that lost an entire other vessel for reasons unknown to you at this moment. What happened to the Contact Light is the plot of the first game, and you coming down to investigate its disappearance is the plot of the second. Little kids of the old dramatic irony if you play the original. So you drop down to the surface of the planet in order to investigate, and that's where the game starts. This mission is incredibly risky, because not only did something manage to deviate the Contact Light from its designated course, but it also managed to bring down the entirety of it and kill all members on board. What really sells the whole story of this being an alien planet that is actively hostile towards you is the music. The best way I'd describe it would be alien and unwelcoming, but somehow badass at the same time. All thanks to the composer, Chris Christodoulou, or as I like to call him, Chris, because I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. From something eerie and atmospheric, hinting at a possible storm on the horizon in the opening sequence, to something quiet and calming that slowly intensifies as it progresses in the early stages. Only for that to be replaced with a high-octane battle track as soon as you activate the teleporter. Then, the game tries to subvert you back into a false sense of security with long, soothing notes and a bass that's subtly playing in the background. To then crank that shit back up to 11, listen to that guitar! Then, when you think he's run out of ideas, motherfucker pulls out the... Now, you might have heard the news, and yes, Gearbox did buy the IP for Risk of Rain. And if history's anything to go by, that's usually not a good sign. But it's okay. We have precautions. And Hope is currently developing a remastered version of the first game, and have full control over it. So Gearbox can't ruin it for all of us. November 8th, 2023, I'm calling it right now. Also, whoops, did I accidentally stop talking about the game right before the final boss? Twice? Aw, shucks. Well, I guess you'll have to play the game for yourself to find out. It's okay, I put the links in the description for the game and DLC. And if you want to click that secret little third one at the bottom, who am I to stop you? Anyway, thanks for watching, bye!